broadcasting.
Good morning, Southwest Parking and Transportation Association. Looking at the participant list, it looks like we've got people coming in. I'm not 100% sure if Dawn is adding them from the waiting room or not, but I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes to kind of catch up, and then I'm going to be introducing our faithful leader, Mr. Andrew Vidor. Dawn, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Do we have other people in the waiting room, or are they just signing in
Yeah,
as they?
they're signing in. Sorry, I didn't realize you were asking for the question. Yeah, you can go ahead and start.
Okay, so welcome to our September webinar. We've got some great content coming up. If nobody has read any of our stuff, our conference has gone virtual. So what we're bringing to you for these next few sets of webinars are actual conference content. It's going to be awesome. There's lots of great information, and what I would like to do now is introduce our president, Andrew Vidor, so that he can provide you with some information or an award of excellence. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work. Mr. Andrew.
Thank you, Darby. Well, hi, everybody. Again, Andrew Vidor with Walker Consultants, the current president for the Southwest Parking and Transportation Association. Thrilled to be here with you guys today. My background is conveniently the box cover from the Swap to Swag box. If you've got it, I hope you're really enjoying the contents inside. My box hasn't shown up, but I suspect it will in the next few days. I'm excited to see what's inside. I don't even know all the contents. So our conference planning committee worked really hard to get these boxes out last week and over the weekend, burning the midnight oil in a couple different locations around the country. So thank you to those folks. That really requires an excellent thank you to Maria Soto with the Las Vegas Convention Center and Brandy Stanley with the City of Las Vegas Parking Department. I know that they were working really late this weekend getting these out. So if you are enjoying your box on the contents, please post some pictures to social media. We want to see what you're doing with that content. And if you didn't receive a box, there's really two ways to get it. The first is being a member. A member receives a free box every month for the next 11 boxes, or if you want to buy some additional boxes, you're more than welcome to. Just head to our website and you can find the link in our store to purchase those boxes. I did want to share with you today on behalf of Carmen Benel with Pay by Phone, who's our current vice president and chairs the Excellence in Parking Awards committee. So this is our second year that we'll be doing the awards. We included some information in the September swag box. If you didn't see that, jump over to our website, and up at the top banner is information about the awards. I want to highlight a couple of details for you to be familiar with. They're due December 1st, and those award submissions can be emailed to Carmen. Her email address is on the website. There's no fee to submit an award like there are for some other organizations, but you do have to be a current paid member. All of our awards are reviewed by and recommended what the actual award winners are from a third party state and regional association. So members of our board and members of SWAPTA are not the awards committee. So we don't want to be biased about that. I think that that's important to point out. There are 5 different categories in which you can submit on. One is best parking program. Another is innovative use of technology, parking or transportation and mobility related. Parking employee of the year, parking leader of the year, and best parking structure. Now that best parking structure could be either new design or restoration. So we had some great winners last year. We're excited to be able to receive these nominations over the next few months. And I can tell you that we're probably going to have a black tie gala to announce our award winners. So make sure that you have your tuxedo coat cleaned and your bow tie ready to be put on, and get those ball gowns ready, because when we award this year's categories, as well as recognize all the different submissions. It should be a really fun evening. So that's what I had to share. Thank you, Darby, for providing a few minutes to share an update, and we'll move forward from there.
Awesome. Are we going to add black tie with your best pajama pants things going on?
The opportunities are endless. It could be your best black tie pajamas if you choose.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. And now we are going to introduce our keynote speaker, Maria Tamayo Soto. She is actively engaged in the hospitality industry in Las Vegas. She's been there since 1986. Her focus is on security, casino surveillance operations, safety, workers' compensation, and risk management on an operational level. All of that together is a humongous job. Currently, Maria holds the position of traffic manager for the county's second largest convention center, the Las Vegas Convention Center. Maria holds a master's degree in business administration and a bachelor's in human services management. Operationally, she is responsible for all paid parking revenue, over 120 on-call staff, working with city, state, or county entities in managing traffic, control planning for larger events, which may require multiple road closures and relocations of attendee parking to serve several off-site locations. Maria's team is responsible for coordinating or managing all levels of transportation, taxis, rideshare companies, limos, show shuttles. That's a lot. Charter vehicles, helicopter landings, POV traffic, and employee and attendee parking daily. Wow. So what Maria is going to be presenting on is when your parking lots are no longer parking lots, what are they? Maria, I'm going to turn it over to you.
And that's a great question. What are they when they're not parking lots? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So first, I want to welcome you to the fabulous Las Vegas Convention Center. So you can see by the photo in here, that's what we're going to be growing into by the end of this year. So we've started construction on our West Hall, which is on the west end of the property, and it's going to be fabulous. Unlike any other destination marketing organization, what people don't know is we are actually a government agency. We're established by state law, we're funded by county room tax, and we're governed by a board of directors. We're also the only tourism authority in the United States to own and operate a convention center. Our focus is on marketing Las Vegas, drawing in those business and pleasure travelers, filling all the rooms in the hotels, filling our convention center, whether it's Mandalay-based convention center, the Venetian, Sands Expo, MGM, or World Market. We just want people to come to Las Vegas. What we'll be discussing is the parking operations. Like Darby said, the country's second largest convention center. We have over 3.2 million square feet of indoor event space come January 1st when our West Hall opens up. And we have 2.1 million square feet of outdoor surface parking spaces, which could be converted to exhibit space, racetracks, massive equipment displays throughout the year, hosting hundreds of thousands of attendees during any single event that we might have. We are also the only convention center to have its own police station and fire department on property. How do we do it? Well, this presentation will give you some insight into the planning and execution of traffic control, event planning, off-site parking management, creating pop-up transportation centers for shows, for events such as SEMA, CES, and Con Expo, which I'll go into as we get through a little bit more into the presentation. So the map here, you can see that's the resort corridor. Basically, the convention center works with all of the entire resort corridor. So it's the Las Vegas Strip running from Sahara all the way down to Russell Road. So our first discussion topic is how to manage customer service and security and parking. It's extremely important that each section of our department is working towards a common goal. The execution and closure of a successful show or event is what we strive for. Communication is key between the traffic staff, the customer safety and security team, and the convention services managers that are basically the liaison between everyone working at the convention center and the actual show management. We meet each shift during shift change with our traffic supervisors and our security sergeants. We confirm our plan of action for daily show openings, the daily show close, and then final move up of any show. This ensures we are all on the same page. Of course, we always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C based on changing situations. This confirms any issues with show management or an attendee that needs to be addressed to make sure we're all handling the situations in the same way. Customer service is number one. And as all of you know, in your respective traffic, parking, and transportation locations, traffic staff is your first point of contact. They're the first point of contact with attendees, vendors, show management, and they're also the last people that any guest, customer, or vendor will see prior to leaving property. Meeting the challenges with required flexibility and then trying to stay positive while you're doing it. We are positive that everything will change once we have a solid plan. I think everybody has that experience once in a while. We pretty much live that every single day at the convention center. We prepare for this and then we just roll with it. Our sales, well, they sell the dream to the show. And while traffic, we deliver the nightmare. We always have a backup plan. We're always looking for ways to do things better. You have to give your team the ability to make split-second decisions because traffic is on a constant flow in and out of property. And I know a lot of people are surprised by that. Supervisors feel like they need to be in charge. Management or directors feel like they need to be in charge. We allow them that flexibility to make these decisions. And the reason we do that is that they need to learn how to make decisions. You can't micromanage your staff all day long, or honestly, you'll never get anything done. It's also a way for them to grow and continue to make better decisions as you move on. So we do a debrief at the end of every day, and then we do it again in the morning with the morning staff so that we can make improvements for the next day. We discuss why some decisions were made. What were they thinking at the time? What information did they have available to them? Maybe they didn't have all the information. Sometimes there's a better way, and we discuss it, and then we move on from it. If you do this, they won't be afraid to make decisions. You have to give them the responsibility and the ability to make those decisions with the authority to do something. It's part of their job as a supervisor. And if you keep that from them, they don't grow. They're more useful to us if they're allowed to make those decisions. And they're the ones that are out in the field. They know exactly what's going on. None of us, again, have the time to micromanage our teams, or we would never get anything done. Thinking out of the box. That's talked about a lot. But imagine you have an event planned out in your mind. You know what parking lots are available. You've already decided the shuttle locations, the typical taxi stands, where they're going to be. Where are you going to put the TNCs like Uber and Lyft? You have your standard locations set up. Everything's good. Then you get an update that the show has decided that they want to lease additional space. What do? Sales has overbooked another show and they're overlapping. Now what? Well, where everybody park or pick up transportation. Sometimes it ends up being at an off-site location, such as neighboring hotel parking garage, maybe the mall down the street, or an off-site lease lot. This is why we ensure we have options available all the time. And I'll get into that further into the presentation. Networking, net worth. Networking is probably 75% of our job and contributes heavily to our success. Our neighbors, such as high-rise residential properties that we're surrounded by, we have the Las Vegas Country Club to the east of us, hotels within walking distance, and businesses that are surrounding our park property as well as the resort corridor. We send out weekly traffic updates providing construction information, road closures, both construction and event related. We work closely with public works project updates and utility project updates such as the Las Vegas Boulevard project. We actually set up and hosted a neighborhood meeting at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and we invited all of our neighbors over so that they could hear directly from Public Works spokesperson exactly how the project was going to work. This is a 5-year project spanning the entire length of Las Vegas Boulevard from Sahara all the way down to Sunset Road. It is a 4-phase project that they have going right now. But at any given time, there's going to be a large section that is going to have restricted traffic. Typically, the work is done in the evening, but it takes several hours for them to get everything set up, do the work, and then clean it up in the morning. This could affect some of our shows that we have coming in, affect the 800 residential people in the high-rise buildings that are around us. And we want to make sure that they have this information. Just being a good neighbor, it's not really our responsibility to share that information with them, but we do that so that we keep constant communication with our neighbors and everyone that we may come in contact with, or maybe we need something from them like parking for our employees at some point. We just want to make sure that we keep them in the know. Other things that you should do is get to know your county and your city point of contacts, who your liaison person is for projects, the utility companies, Nevada Power, the water district. These are all these companies have communication people that are in charge of working with the public. Get to know them. You get your information 2-3 months out. It gives you time to plan then down the road, especially for a property such as ours with large events coming in. Imagine having a road closure 1 block away from the convention center, and you've got opening day of CES with upwards of 200,000 people coming through there. What is that going to do for traffic in and around your property? You want to be sure that you're sharing this information. Is really basically they all just want to know what's going on, right? It's human nature to want to know that, and by providing them this information before it actually happens, they're a little bit more forgiving when things go wrong and we have an event that pops up and we have to close a road that maybe affects access to their property. They give us a little leeway there. Technology disruptions. I'm sure by now everybody has dealt with Uber and Lyft in one form or another, as well as other technology that's coming out there. These are going to continue. And we all need to have an open mind and be flexible with it, or you'll never survive. It'll drive you crazy. When Uber and Lyft first came in, none of us knew what to expect. We just knew that they were coming. We're used to dealing with taxis, cabs, limos. They're very easy to deal with. They have a taxi stand. They know how many people can fit in that taxi stand. They communicate between each other by radio. So if the lines are full and we don't have people ready to get into the cabs, they'll put an announcement out and let the other cab drivers know not to come because they call it the porch. The porch is full and they're still waiting for people to come out. It makes it very easy. Uber and Lyft, they don't talk to each other that often. We took a wait and see approach. We wanted to watch and see how they operated. And after a few shows, we had to come up with a plan because we had very limited space. They can't go in the same location as the taxis can. We've got to keep them separate or it would just be chaos. So we try to organize chaos. We determined locations that we could put them in, and we've updated that process probably 1 million times in the last 4 years. What we found was communication was the key. In the beginning, they had supervisors on the ground. They had hired staff to come out and kind of manage those locations in the beginning, but eventually that all went away, and the responsibility fell back on the property to figure out how to manage them effectively so that there weren't any safety concerns and we could still service the shows. Reaching out and finding out who the district managers were, and eventually talking to someone that was actually the app controller, the person that set up the geofences, determined where the locations were and provided that information. It's probably been the most challenging aspect of working with them. I dealt with a gentleman for 2 years with Lyft, and when I went to call him, he was working for Uber. And when I tried to call my Uber guy, I found out he was working for Lyft. So it can get confusing, but staying on top of that, constant contact with all of them has made it a lot easier for us to communicate, and then disseminate information out. Locating key people, drivers that have driven for them for a long time. A lot of times we've developed relationships with them. Our field supervisors speak with them frequently and provide them with information on shows, let them know when certain locations maybe are going to get relocated. And we try to share that information as much as possible. Communication really is key to being successful with that. But I'll dive into that deeper a little bit more into my presentation here. So what are you doing with your parking lot space? So we already know that the LVCVA model is a flexible space model, right? So we don't have any parking garages. The reason for that is you can't put anything else in it but cars. So we've gone with the flexible space model. So every parking space out there really is up for grabs, and you never know what's going to end up in it. Permit sales. We do permit sales, but it's very limited. It's not like the municipalities and the universities. We only sell annual contractor passes, and the contractors are basically the people that are hired by the shows, like the GSs and the Freemans, to come in, build the booths, set up the show, get it running, and then they come back in and then they take it all down again. There's no guarantee with this park that they'll have a parking space. We do sell probably a few hundred of them every year, but they only go to the contractors, nobody else. Our attendee parking basically is here today and could be gone tomorrow. So when you left work on Friday, you got into your car in the front of the building, you come back on Monday, and there's exhibit space out there. That happens on a continuous basis. We do provide team member parking. If all the lots are leased, then what do? Well, we have to figure out where we're going to put everybody. So like I said previously, we have a good working relationship with the hotel resort next door to us, and they do have a parking garage in the back. And from time to time, we are able to either do an exchange or lease a few floors of their garage for our employees to go into. With that comes other added challenges. Now we have to staff the location. We've got to put security in there, get everything set up, put signage, and then ensure that we communicate all that information to our employees. Sometimes we even have to go off-site, depending on the show. If they've leased every single parking area that we have, then we have located off-site parking lots that we have ongoing contracts with. We're able to lease for a nominal fee. They could be a mile, maybe 2 miles away. They're usually within a mile. We have to provide transportation then. A few of the shows like CES, Con Expo, SEMA, when they come in and take all our parking lots, our employees then are forced to park in these off-site lots. We have to provide 24-hour security. And then we also have to make arrangements for shuttle service for our employees. And that falls back on the traffic section as well. So we develop those plans. We determine the schedules, how many shuttles we need to effectively transport our employees on a 24-hour basis. A lot goes into it. We also negotiate the contracts for the lots to use. Our contractors and our business partner parking. So our business partners are Centerplate, Cox, any outside company that comes in on a normal basis and does business with us. We are required in their contract to provide a certain amount of parking permits where they would typically park in employee parking. When that happens, obviously we have to honor those contracts, and we allow those employees, business partners that we call them, to park where our employees park. But when we have large shows, they contract in sometimes from the unions, food and beverage people. There may not be parking for them, or we may find another lot where they're allowed to go into that maybe is a little bit further away. This information we tend to communicate out as far in advance as possible. We try to be a few months out working with our business partners. They're aware of the returning shows, like CES comes every year at the same time. SEMA comes every year at the same time. ConExpo comes back, every 3 years or so. They're aware and expect that to happen. So we start working out a plan a few months ahead of time so that we know exactly where we're going to put them. They're able to communicate that to their employees and their subcontractors that they're bringing in, so that they're aware of what is available. If they can't get a parking spot, they won't come to work. If they don't come to work, then the service to the show is affected. So it behooves us to work diligently with our business partners to ensure that everybody has the information they need and they have a location to park, whether it's on property, off property, or they're being shuttled in. Another topic on that is the ADA parking options. So obviously we're going to conform to federal law. Every one of our parking lots have the amount of parking spaces required plus a little bit more. There are certain shows that we know tend to have an increase in ADA attendees, and we have the ability to go in and add additional temporary ADA space in our parking lots. It could be simply adding 10 or 20 additional parking spaces. In the long run, it's good customer service to do that. They're very grateful for that. Many of them are on scooters and they need the ability to get into the property safely. So we do work with that, with the show management, as well as with our parking staff, and ensuring that we have enough parking for them. If we have no parking available, then we tend to lean back on the show for them to come up with a plan of how are they going to service those ADA customers, how are they going to communicate to them what parking is going to be available for them to use. And maybe it's simply providing them with a POV drop-off area that's close to the building and making those arrangements with those special customers to be able to do that. Again, our offsite parking strategy, we do planning ahead 12 to 18 months because we are aware of what shows are going to take up a majority of our property. We have already identified offsite lots, the costs involved with that, whether transportation will be needed. Is the show going to provide the shuttle service for the attendees and the employees to get back onto property from these offsite locations? Or is that something that's going to fall back on our department and we need to budget for it for the next year? So we try to stay on top of that and meet every couple of weeks to do a look ahead on what's on the calendar, what has sales already sold, what is confirmed, and what we anticipate needing to do for those shows. We also print up maps and locations of the available parking when we know that our lots are limited and they're going to fill relatively early. We hand those maps out. Our traffic staff does to the attendees. And on those maps, we've identified the locations and we also include the costs. So what I'll do is I'll send a survey out probably a month ahead of time when we know that these shows are going to be coming in that take everything up, and ask them how much they're going to charge for parking. And typically it's from $20 to, believe it or not, $60 a day, which that lot is half a block away from us. And believe it or not, they fill up relatively quickly every single day. I'm assuming because most people can write it off as a business expense, that the fees involved with that parking don't really concern them. But we do what we can to assist. We don't leave them, to fend for themselves as far as parking go. Of course, we will always suggest people, if they're staying in a hotel and they have a monorail stop, that they use the monorail to get on and off of property versus using their vehicle. We also have to work with the shuttle companies, taxis, limo services, and then what do we do with our POV traffic? So if you don't give them a place to go, they're going to pick a place to go. And the place they're going to go is in the middle of your street. I would rather have organized chaos and determine locations, communicate that to the various entities and the agencies so that they're aware of what's to expect when they come on property and where they can go. We attend taxi board meetings every month. During those meetings, I have an opportunity to discuss past events, the situations that have occurred, whether it's positive or negative, with the various companies, and work on how can we improve that. So again, communication is huge here in working out how to do things better. It also gives us an opportunity to discuss what's coming up, what to expect. We send the schedules out and the show information, the number of attendees, the hall that they're going to be in, opening day, the dates of the show, and then what time the show closes. For us, that's good customer service, because now the drivers are all aware of, say, a show closing at 1 o'clock versus 5 o'clock. So we will always have the transportation that we need available for the attendees, which again, just puts into another thing for the show to be successful, and they appreciate that. We also work with the different shuttle companies. So when a show comes in, they could bring in their own transportation companies, such as say TMS. They are responsible for the shuttles. So we have a couple of shuttle sawtooths on property, and then we do pop-up shuttle locations as needed. They will manage the flow of the shuttles coming in, dropping off the attendees at the various halls. They also bring in the bus backers, which helps us out with traffic flow. Again, we work very closely with them so that they understand the rules of operation while on our property. And at the same time, they have the same goal, ensuring that the show is successful. Again, the monorail runs right through our property, so we do have a stop. It stops at several major hotels, starts at the Sahara Hotel, and then goes all the way down to the south end of the strip at MGM. ConExpo does a really neat thing. They put a monorail pass on the back of all the attendee badges, and they're able to utilize the monorail as many times as they need to. And they work out a plan with the monorail to do that. And that is very effective for limiting the amount of POE drop-off we have, because as you'll see coming up, when ConExpo is at the property, we basically are ConExpo. There are no parking spaces anywhere, and all of the transportation ends up in the street, and you'll see that later on. We also have a few shows that work out with the RTC, which is the Regional Transportation Services here, basically the city buses. During Magic, because there's a shortage of shuttles and transportation, they've worked it out to where the city buses will travel through our property and do a drop off and pick up to assist with the flow. And that too, again, is to limit the amount of privately owned vehicles and other forms of transportation from coming through the limited space that we have. I know we talked about the TNCs, which is the technology network companies. That's what we call them here in Nevada. Basically, Uber and Lyft are the two main ones that we have. Again, just reminder for you to know who your local contacts are. Look them up. It's very easy to search and get a number and just reach out and talk to someone and find out who your local contacts are. It's good to check and update your geofencing. We had some issues in the beginning and we couldn't figure out why Uber and Lyft kept coming in the exit only with the giant red signs that said exit only, do not enter. But they kept coming in that way to pick people up on the east side of our building. And when I contacted someone with the app, he was able to show me on a map where the pinpoint was. And it was actually in the middle of our orange lot, which is our freight area. So Google was telling them to go that way. We were able, through communication, to have them adjust their geofencing and move it to the correct location. It took a couple of months for us to finally get to that point, but we were able to do that. So I strongly suggest that if you're having issues, that's where you would go first. Eliminate the hassle of talking to other people, because the app administrators are the only ones that can make those changes for you. And then if you have to update your drop-off and pickup locations, communicating that with them as well. If you have some construction going on or some road closures, these are things I try to send out to them on an annual basis, and then I update it every couple of weeks. I've got email group set up for Uber and an email group set up for Lyft with 5 or 6 of their main contacts in there. So I know that everybody will have an opportunity with at least one person getting the email and looking at it and seeing that, oh, SEMA's here. They're going to have their Silver Drive in the front of their property closed for the next, 2 weeks. And they've relocated Uber and Lyft to an outside location, or maybe that location is completely gone and they'll have to use the other 3 locations that we have. They also use wiki pages. They have a wiki page for their drivers, each one of them. And I've got access to that, so I'm able to go in there and update that information to them, as well as emailing it to someone and having them update that as well. And my understanding is that drivers depend on that greatly for their information in regards to any events that are coming into town, and then especially for the convention center. I also put together a packet for them to give to their new drivers. They're able to email it out to them. It's got maps of our property, where the general locations are, and it also provides them the information that your location might not be there from time to time, and you have a responsibility to check into that so you know where you're going. We're working with outside agencies. We do a lot of road closures. We assist with the permitting for the different shows that come in. We will work up maps and send them to the traffic control company of their choice, so that we can assist them with ensuring that the traffic control is set up appropriately. We also help with them filling out the applications and sending them into the county. That's why it's very important to have open communication with your county or city, depending on what jurisdiction you're in, because sometimes things change and you've got 2 days to do a traffic plan and get it out there and then get it approved. Typically, they want 30 days to do that. But when you have those working relationships with these different entities and you have a contact person there, you're able to call them up and say, hey, I'm faxing this over right now. This is what it's for, and this is why we need it. It's for safety reasons. We're rerouting traffic, what have you. And typically, if they see and they understand the need to have that for a safety reason, you're going to have no problem getting that approved and getting it out there. Partnerships with different organizations. We've pretty much gone through the networking with the rideshare and stuff. Also attend the Nevada Transportation Authority, which oversees all the limo drivers. Go to their board meetings as well. I have a contact there. A lot of times you'll see with the Uber and the Lyft drivers coming in, you'll have some drivers maybe working off the app, or you've got out-of-state drivers that show up that shouldn't be driving in the state, or shuttles that haven't been registered and inspected and aren't safe. Safety is a key factor for us on our property. We work very closely with all these entities to ensure that there is safe transportation for the attendees that are coming. If there was something happen with maybe a shuttle that shouldn't have been operating here and we missed it, what effect would that have in the news if there was an accident or something, happened to the attendees? All you're going to hear is, they got the shuttle on the convention center property. So we try to work with them. They do send investigators out during the larger shows just to do spot checks on the shuttles, make sure that they're properly registered with the NTA. The Nevada Taxi Cab Authority has investigators as well, and they'll come out and assist when they know we have large shows with a lot of traffic going on, just to kind of just be out there and be seen so that the drivers see them and know that they're here, they're on property, and they're there to assist us. We work very closely with Clark County Public Works. Because of that, we're able to get an updated list of projects that could be occurring in and around the convention center. And then we get a jump start on that so that we're able to reach out to the contractor, sometimes hosting meetings every couple of weeks to get an update on the project. And by doing that, we're able to work with them to work around some of our larger shows. We had a major sewer line going in last year, and it was going to affect traffic on Paradise Road, which is the main access to the front of our building. Because we knew about this in advance, we were able to get the county to put language into the contracts with the contractor with a no work clause during certain shows for 3 or 4 days at a time, where they had to come in, clean up, reopen the road for service, and then they would immediately go back to work the following Monday. That really helps us a lot, especially on large shows like SEMA, where you have thousands and thousands of cars driving down the roads around the surrounding property, going to parking, vendors trying to get in and out. And then of course the move in and move out activity of, 1,400 cars coming onto property over a span of a couple of days. It helps a lot. Knowing who your contact is at the water district, the power company, and even with the gas company. Again, they've got projects on the books, sometimes a year out. They just don't have them set up yet. Again, letting them know that our main concern is, the show opening, the show days, and then sometimes the move out of that. They'll work with you and assist you with that. And it behooves them to do that. If you have open trenches and you have a lot of construction going on a street, a lot of times people only know one way to get to the property because that's the way they've gone for the last 15 years to the same show. They're going to go that way anyhow. And they're going to see a lot of traffic going through there, and that becomes, a safety concern for everyone involved. So it helps to do that. We also have contact at Sands Expo. A lot of our shows that come in, the larger shows, have a portion of their show over at Sands Expo. And we communicate with each other as far as transportation concerns go. If we have a lot of cabs sitting on our front door, but not a lot of people using them, and maybe they're short on cabs, we're able to go out there and let them know that the Sands is open and they have people waiting for cabs. We communicate very effectively with each other on that. Sometimes they're having issues getting transportation over there, and I'm able to make a phone call with somebody I know that maybe they don't know to help them with that. So having that sort of relationship and continue to network with people, it's extremely important. And then again, the offsite lot owners, just building a relationship with them, because you never know when you might need their lot. Taking care of it, having security there, cleaning up, giving it back to them the way that we got it in has worked very well for us. So as you can see by this map here, this is a map of our property. The West Hall on this map is the new portion that has been under construction for the last 18 months. It used to be the Gold Lot, then it was called the Diamond Lot, and there's still a portion of the Diamond Lot there. We have 9 main parking lots on our property that can be subdivided into 24 different lots at any given time. So the bronze lot 1, 2, and 3, each of those lots can be subdivided into 2 lots each. Then we have the silver lot 1 and 2, and each of those lots get divided into 2 separate lots. We have silver 3 right below that. We've got our blue lot, our white lot, our platinum lot, and each of those sections can actually be subdivided again. The reason we do that is for liability reasons. So if a show wants to lease a space, say it's in bronze 3, but they only need half of it, we would prefer that they only use half of it versus taking the whole thing and us losing parking access. Sometimes we also use them for transportation. If we have to relocate transportation from, say, the front of the drive into the silver lot for some reason, we're able to do that as well, and then take a portion of that and keep it for transportation. We have, again, 2.1 million square feet spanning over 2 miles. So if you see the back of the Platinum Lot 1 and you go all the way to Diamond Lot 2, that is actually 2 miles. So you can imagine having our traffic staff spread out over 2 miles and having 2 supervisors out there trying to coordinate all that space. It can be challenging sometimes. So I'm sure you've all heard about Elon Musk. So we have a convention center loop The Boring Company is building it. It's an underground transportation system on the Las Vegas Convention Center property. It is the actual first commercial endeavor for Elon Musk and his Boring Company. We will have 3 stations located on our property. The one you saw was back behind the south halls, then one in the front at our central halls, and then another one that goes pretty much up to the front of the west halls. They'll serve as an innovative and quick transportation solution to move thousands of attendees underground. And that will be amazing for us versus having people taking shortcuts through freight areas, maybe walking down our south drive from the back of the property to the front of the property when we have shuttle buses operating, because we all know not everybody's paying attention when they're walking, they're on their cell phones, sometimes they're lost. So it'll be huge to take most of those people that typically would use a crosswalk to cross from the building into a parking lot. Maybe we'll use the underground system to get from point A to point B. And as you can see, the cool looking cars that they'll be driverless Teslas, I believe, that will be operating underneath the Las Vegas Convention Center. You can also see the conceptual future expansion of the stations, which will run down the entire Las Vegas Strip and over to McCarran Airport. So right now there is no monorail system or any other means of people moving to get from the convention center to the McCarran International Airport other than using a taxi, a limo, or an Uber and Lyft. So this will assist with traffic flow and easing some of that burden on our streets surrounding our property. This is a map of our campus, and as you can see, we have a lot of roads that go through it. So from the Platinum lots all the way to our West Hall, we have several streets. We have University Center Drive that comes from the airport all the way down to the Convention Center property, and it divides our Platinum lots from the back of our South Halls. Sierra Vista Avenue at the bottom of your screen is a small street that goes from Paradise Road, which is a major arterial, back to University Center Drive. On that street, if we allow on-street parking, which happens almost every day, we would only have 1 lane in each direction. As you can see, our bronze lot there holds almost 1,200 parking spaces in it. So just imagine having that as a parking lot and then having your show let out and then trying to get all those cars off property out 3 exits onto basically what is a one lane in each direction. We've been working with Clark County Public Works for about 3 years now, going on 4 years this next year, trying to get the street curb and gutter put in. There's a few lots there that didn't have any buildings on it. Get the easements and the right-of-ways in place so that they're able to put sidewalk down both sides from Paradise down to University Center Drive, as well as eliminating the on-street parking there and get 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. That would include putting a signal modification down at University Center Drive as well to assist us with our left-hand turns. As you can imagine, everybody coming out from the north side of the property that wants to go south, and then everyone parking on the south side of property just trying to get out. It gets very congested back there. And for most of our shows, we do have Metro out there on both ends just to assist with stopping traffic, getting them out. You have shuttles that use University Center Drive and go down our South Drive, which is part of our property. So there's a lot of traffic flowing down the South Drive. And then you have attendees coming and going from the bronze lot into there. Desert Inn Road actually goes under the South Hall. So there's bridge access on the front of the property and the back of the property for pedestrians to walk, and then cars to get from the south side of the property to the north side of the property. Then we have our North Road, which is a private drive that runs between us, the Westgate Resort, their parking garage, and then our freight areas. in there. So there is a lot of foot traffic back there as well, going from the North Halls area for people that stay at the West Gate. So a lot of times we'll have to put traffic staff back there to assist with that. The shows, a lot of times knowing that that's going to happen, we'll put contract security back there to assist us as well. And then we are in the process of getting a light at the North Road on Paradise to assist with freight when it transfers from the main property over to the West Halls. Convention Center Drive, everyone's very familiar with that. That is the main drive that comes in through Paradise and comes into our property. So that drive is extremely busy. They've widened it, so we do have additional space there for cars, but there's been a lot of work there for the last year and a half. So sometimes that's been a challenge as well. You'll see the beach lot indicated on the corner of Paradise and Convention Center Drive. A lot of times shows, when they have to relocate transportation, will lease that lot and then give it back to us to use for either an Uber and Lyft pickup and drop off, and many times for taxis, so that they can get in and out off Convention Center Drive and then exit out onto Paradise. When we do that, the show typically will hire Metro to assist with the traffic flow over there. And then we'll have traffic staff that actually manages that. And you'll see a little bit more of that when I get into the Con Expo portion of this presentation. So this is our map of our typical standard locations that we use for taxi stands and then Uber and Lyft. So we tried to have a location on each side, front and back, of our property to make it easily accessible to all the shows. We could have a full facility show, which means they've leased all the space inside the building. And again, many times portions of the outside or the entire property. You could have a show in North Hall, 2 shows going on in Central Hall, and 4 or 5 shows going on in the South Halls. We have that happen typically in March, during March Madness. We'll have 7 to 8 overlapping shows going on all at the same time. So we tried to provide ease of access to these locations for them to utilize. As far as the Uber and Lyft go, these locations have been geofenced. We have signage out there that tells them, these are the locations for pickup, a place for them to sit down. And then depending on the location, such as the Bronze Drive West, we've actually put in parking stalls for them that are numbered, that are removable. So again, thinking about our property as being utilized as a parking lot one day and then exhibit space the next, we call that permanent temporary signage. Everything has to be removable that's on property. So again, that causes challenges for the traffic staff as well, because we're constantly setting up, taking down, and setting up. Sometimes we do that 2-3 times in a day. It just depends on what's going on the property. So these areas have been geofenced. The taxi stands are the standard stands that they're aware of. The drivers for the taxi cab companies, they have one place to go. They all stand in line, and that's how they load the taxis by law. It's first in line is the first one that's filled. Obviously, if you've worked with Uber and Lyft, you know it's whoever gets there. The person is there, they get in, they leave. Sometimes they're waiting 20 minutes for them to come out. We don't allow staging as long as there's space, but when there's not space, we have to tell them they have to go around and come back. Typically what will happen is the first day of the show, people will order their Uber and Lyft from inside the hall. And then they find out that it doesn't take them as long to get outside, and they wait till they get out there, and they could be waiting. It just depends. So it's based on the show and the demographic of who's attending the show. So this is our Bronze Drive West right here. So you can see in the top photo, that's our traffic cart there. So that's what it would look like. You have 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. It's extremely wide and accessible. During some shows, as you can see in the bottom one, we will put a concrete barricade K-Rail, Bike Rack. This show, I believe, was World of Concrete. And typically the Uber and Lyft would come in from Sierra Vista. They would be doing a forced U-turn on the north side of the drive where the traffic cart is located, and they would be forced back out to Sierra Vista. There we would have Metro Police there to assist with, depending on traffic flow, doing a forced right or a forced left for traffic there. The other side of the drive would be for southbound traffic only. That would be traffic flowing from the front of our Silver Drive at the front of the property and then exiting. Sometimes during, say, CS, we completely concrete that whole drive off and the whole thing becomes just Uber and Lyft. And then there's no exit off of that into Sierra Vista. Then we'll use our South Drive sometimes too, and do that as just a release valve. Once traffic gets backed up front and the shuttles have stopped for the evening at 5 o'clock, we can force all the vehicles from the front of the property to head east down our South Drive there back to University Center Drive. And then we can get property cleaned up a lot easier. We make adjustments daily. What maybe didn't quite work on opening day, we'll make some little minor adjustments in hopes that it helps alleviate some of the traffic flow. We try not to make too many drastic changes because the drivers, once they figure out how to get on property, they're going to go back that same place again, and they're going to be looking for that access. So we try not to make too many big changes if we don't have to. We work very closely with Metro for placement through the show. The shows hire special events to come out to assist with the traffic flow that they're creating around our property. And then we work very closely with them to determine, just through past experience, the best locations for them to go. Our supervisors will go out, meet with them throughout the day. Sometimes you'll find during a show you don't need an officer and he's just standing around holding up a light pole, and you have better use for them at the back of the property. We're able to go to that sergeant and say, we really need help back over here. Can you relocate that person? And they will make those adjustments and ensure that the sergeant for the next day is aware of that. Contract traffic control. A lot of times the shows will bring in their own staff to assist. We're very limited. We have approximately 100 on-call traffic staff that work for us. We have 12 on-call traffic and revenue supervisors, and then 1 full-time traffic supervisor to manage 2 miles of property. So we are moving constantly all day long. So we're always looking for ways to make improvements with that. So we do work very closely with the contract traffic control that the show brings in to ensure that they're aware of our policies and procedures, and that they're checking with us before they go out and decide they want to change traffic flow. They may not understand the reason why we have something running a certain direction. They may not be familiar with the show or understand the property. Same thing with the shuttle bus services. They are all contracted out. And again, we work very closely with the show and with them. We meet with them prior to the show opening, usually a week or 2 ahead of time, to make sure that we're all on the same page, that we understand what their plan is. And sometimes we're able to assist them with making improvements prior to show opening to ensure successful show. And then again, safety, safety, safety. So we all have to wear safety vests. We monitor the traffic control staff that comes in to ensure that they're abiding by those rules as well by wearing safety vests. And we could provide them with additional cones, signage, whatever they need, just to ensure that we don't have any issues on property. So the unexpected and offsite event involvement. Now, who would think that working at the convention center that you would need to go off property and work? Well, the first one we have is our Family Assistance Center. Everyone, I'm sure, is aware of October 1st events that occurred in Las Vegas back in 2017. So on the night of that unfortunate incident, The first call to our center was at 3 a.m. and the notification was we may need assistance from you. We don't know what that assistance is, but we might need it. By 6 a.m., we were in full mobilization mode with a phase plan that evolved daily on the needs that they requested. By 10 a.m., we had the Family Assistance and Reunification Center open for business and serving the first family members from the October 1st event. Family members could come in, obtain information about those involved in the incident, such as confirmed status of loved ones. The center took on a life of its own when the community came together and just started showing up with food, blankets, clothing, phone chargers, you name it, they showed up. We obviously didn't want to send them away. So we opened up our South Hall and it became basically a warehouse facility for everything and anything that came in. We had businesses around town bringing in truckloads of water for first responders, for the families, any of those involved with the event. We had restaurants dropping off lunches and dinners for those manning the center. And then we opened up the hall specifically for the donations. We were in there for approximately 20 days. As you can see, we have a photo here of the actual inside the center where they had travel assistance set up through Allegiant Airlines. The agencies involved, just bare minimum of who actually was involved, because there was hundreds of people. Las Vegas Metro, the coroner's office, social services, the DMV, Allegiant Air, Clark County School District, our Las Vegas Convention Center services department that helped set everything up, clean up the trash daily, reset the rooms, and then our traffic and perimeter were also involved in it. You can see they had service dogs that came in, comfort dogs. We had to set up signage immediately, so our signage obviously wasn't that fancy, but it got them the message across. You can see the sign that said no media allowed, no videos or recordings. So out in our diamond lot, if you remember, towards Las Vegas Boulevard, we did set up a media location, because obviously a lot of the local television stations and some of the bigger stations came in. We had to keep them away from where the families were coming in. So we had to staff that as well. So our traffic staff was out there giving directions, assisting with parking, just to redirect everyone to where they needed to go, be as helpful, obviously, as possible to these people in need. I made a phone call to one of the traffic control companies that we work with on a lot of our shows, and asked them for a couple of extra dot signs. Wanted to know how much the VMS boards would cost us, and they gave them to us. He said to keep them as long as you want. So we actually have those on property probably for a little over a month. We use those to set out into the street to direct people to the correct location for parking. You obviously didn't want someone parking out in front of the central halls and have to walk a mile to get back to the south halls. Excuse me.
Hey, Maria, this is all really fantastic. Just great information. I just did want to give you a 2-minute warning.
Okay. So we had the debate at UNLV as well. That was October 19th, 2016. We actually went out to UNLV and assisted with the traffic control out there. And we actually worked the freedom of speech parking lot. So assisted with the parking and everything that was going on over there, provided security and perimeter staff to assist with directions there as well. And then we had the NFL draft that was supposed to be coming in April 23rd to the 25th. We did 6 months of planning on that as well, working with Metro, NFL representatives, traffic control coordinators, locating off-site lots, and then working on transportation with the city bus system as well. So let the shows begin, because I only have a few minutes on this. So CES. So this is what our parking lots look like during CES. As you can see, very limited with parking. In fact, there was probably only one lot that was available. The cars you see in the one location, those are all Uber and Lyft. That is our Bronze Drive West, where we would turn everybody around and they would just access from Sierra Vista and go back out. This is our silver lot in the front. Hey, Google set up a very great demonstration area and building out there. So again, no parking on property. These are a few more photos of what happened on our property. So these are the silver lots up front. You can see they're all filled with exhibits. SEMA lot usage. So in the back, we had a driveway. This used to be a parking lot, now became the TNC area for Uber and Lyft. Off-site parking options were used, hotels, we leased some lots, we provided shuttles, team member parking, contractor parking. We did save some ADA parking on property for just ADA, and then permitting and traffic control was handled by our traffic section as well. So this is our lots out front. We have a racetrack out there. As you can see, they pretty much tear up the lots. And then once they leave, they're supposed to put them back to the way they got them. A lot of times that doesn't happen. And our staff comes back in from engineering and will help with that, but we facilitate that through an outside agency to get our lots put back to parking. And these are a lot of the lane closures that we will do. And we basically flip this bronze lot transportation center 4 times during this show in a matter of 2 weeks. It becomes move-in, it becomes parking, it becomes an event center, it becomes transportation, and then we flip it for move-out. So these are all road closures that we're allowed to do for a 24-hour period during this show, because SEMA takes over the entire Platinum 3 lots and it becomes part of the show. We do a transportation center. It's in the bronze lots, as you can see by the top one. The shuttles are there, Uber's there, Lyft, limos, taxis, and POV drop-off. So that lot has 529,000 square feet. I get 129,000 of it to put all the transportation in there for the show. ConExpo, that's a fun one. So you can see our entire property is covered with exhibit space from front to back. There's absolutely no parking on property. We have the beach lot that we put taxis on, but basically our property looks like this. And it's amazing how everything gets set up. It does take a couple months for this to go through. So our lots are taken in stages until the actual show opens. And our taxi line then goes from the back of our property into the street. So we do get permits to run taxi stand in the street. We take over 1 lane. We have Metro out there, front and back. Uber and Lyft moved out to Sierra Vista on the street, and all attendee parking and employees are moved off property to off-site lots. And then we provide 24-hour shuttle service that we actually manage with our staff. So that's it. Do we have any questions?
Everybody can just raise their hand if you have a question.
No questions?
You just wowed them.
That's a fact. That was a lot of fantastic information.
If anyone ever wants to come take a tour of property, just reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to drive you around on a cart. I won't make you walk those 2 miles. And you can see the back of house, how our operations work. You know, I can show it on a slide screen, but until you actually come out there and see the magnitude of the property and how it can be utilized, you just will never understand that. It's like no other destination out there, simply for the fact that they can lease any part of that property they want at any given time.
Well, I can't wait to see it. How about you, Darby?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was kind of more thinking that isn't that like Vegas's theme is there's nothing like Vegas or no other place, or what happens here stays here type deal?
Oh yeah. That's for sure. It's where dreams happen.
Thanks so much, Maria.
Yep.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
All righty. We will now be having a power pitch from our premier sponsor, Flowbird, Mr. Ed Kincaid. I will tell you, if you have not received your first box, I have not received mine. I'm hearing it's quite a cool little box. And Flowbird was chomping at the bit to be the first one right out of the gate to be the premier sponsor and provide this awesome opportunity. So with that, Mr. Ed Kincaid, I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Can everybody hear me okay?
Sure can.
Fantastic. Maria, I loved your presentation. I sell technology, but I love event-based presentations just from a personal perspective. I think they're much more interesting than the day-to-day parking, you know, as far as we're concerned. So thank you very much for that. We'll be out in Vegas next month, so maybe I take you
Oh,
up.
great. Yep, look me up.
Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ed Kincaid. I do sales for Flowbird for the Northeast. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to SWAPTA. I've heard wonderful things about your show and always wanted to attend. Management seems to think that SWAPTA is in the Southwest United States and the Northeast guy doesn't get to go. So here I am. So thank you so much for having me. I'm very interested in these gift boxes. Hopefully I can get one from you as well, because I'm curious to see what we're doing there. So I'm pinch hitting here today. For those of you who don't know, Flowbird is the new name for what used to be known as Parkion and Calais. Parkion and Calais were the two leaders in the parking pay station, multi-space meter industry. And about 2.5 years ago, we merged together and rebranded as Flowbird. And Flowbird really is meant to help reposition us in the market, not just from the hardware and the steel that we're best known for, but we know so many of the developments and advances that are being made in our industry today are software-based and intelligent-based and mobility-based. And we really wanted to emphasize our full portfolio that's available to customers and a lot of the innovations that we happen to be leading the industry with. You know, so whether that be the touch screen kiosks that you can see in downtown Las Vegas today, or our mobile application, or our transit applications as well. We're really working on multiple platforms, trying to blur those lines between what's traditionally on-street parking, off-street parking, transit, mobile app, and making as fluid of a parking and mobility ecosystem as we can. We are the largest in the on-street arena in the world. We're based out of South Jersey, just outside Philadelphia. So you can see Billy Penn there on top of City Hall, Philadelphia. They're one of our more recent RFP victories, by the way. We're deploying about 1,900 pay stations there, and we're done about half of that at this point in time. We work with over 5,000 customers in 75 different countries. Our revenue is over $320 million per year, and about 100 million people use our technology on a week-by-week basis. So, you know, chances are, if you're not familiar with us, chances are you've used our technology at some point in time in some city near or far from you. Our US headquarters is just outside Philadelphia in a town called Morristown, New Jersey, which is where I'm sitting right now. We also have an independent facility down in Clearwater, Florida, with full warehousing facilities as well as a full staff down there. We are the largest provider of pay-by-license plate systems in the world, and in the United States, we have over 170 municipalities doing pay-by-plate. So for those of you who are looking to upgrade or change the way that you do business on a day-to-day basis, know that we have a very flexible solution there for you. In the United States, we work with over 700 different customers. Those include not just municipalities, but we also work with universities, with operators. We've seen significant growth recently in working with parks and rec systems. I just did a large project in Delaware with Delaware State Parks. And then, you know, we have a big transit base as well, which we don't talk about often enough in the parking world, but we're in the process of deploying a big system in Indianapolis with Indigo doing everything from the ticket vending machines to mobile applications to bus validators, creating an entire ecosystem, account-based ecosystem at that for Indianapolis. Some of our largest customers, as I mentioned, in a city near you, and I wish I had Las Vegas here on this map because there seems to be a hole in the southwest there. We also work with Los Angeles, but New York City is our largest customer. So we are the oldest provider of pay station hardware in the world. We brought the first parking pay station to New York City in 1989, and they have been our customer ever since. But we also work with, as I mentioned, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Miami, Austin, Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Portland, Oregon. If I could show you Juneau, Alaska on this map, I would as well. So we're literally all across the United States, and then we work with a number of park systems as well. Some of our pay-by-plate systems here, some of our larger customers. New York City will be converting in the very near future. They're doing a technology refresh as we speak, but Hartford, Connecticut, Durham, Miami, Chicago being the largest, Flagstaff, and then you see Pasadena there in the Southwest. So finally representing to my target audience here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the hardware because I really think that hardware is really where the conversation starts, but doesn't have to start and doesn't have to end here. But this is the range of products that we offer. We offer, on the left there is the Stratas, which is the traditional parking online. And you go everywhere from the green one there is the older with the monochrome screens. And that's what you still see right now in New York City or in a few other locations around the country, not so much anymore. The color display in the middle is what we've been doing for the past 7 years around the country. And then the black one there on the right is the brand new touchscreen technology, which today is in Las Vegas as we speak. In the center, those gray machines are the Calais CWT line, okay? The one on the left being the touchscreen technology. That's the exact unit they have in Chicago. And then you have the color display that's next to it there on the right. We also offer a single space offering, our Max Meter as well, which we have in about 20 different municipalities around the United States. So we can work with customers across the board on all types of hardware here for payment applications. Just a couple of things to note, on the CWT here, and I'm using the CWT as a base. What we've done is we've taken that touchscreen technology that's now available across all of our hardware platforms. It did start with the Calais CWT, and we've recently brought it online with the Strata, and then we also use it in our transit applications as well. We brought the first solar-powered solution to New Brunswick, New Jersey back in 1996, and I'll tell you that battery lasted for 11 years, and ever since then, solar power has really been our calling card technology, and we're not afraid to boast that we do solar power just a little bit better than everybody else. On the modern day technology, it does so much more than that original solar powered meter. So you can expect to see between a 3 to 5 year battery life out of it, but we're pretty consistent, on meeting and oftentimes exceeding those specifications. The pay stations communicate by cellular. The communications tool of the day is 4G. At some point it will be 5G, but the beauty of our technology is it's all plug and play. And so that can be upgraded at any point down the road once that product's available. It's a very simple swap out of the meter. So what we try to do is really to future-proof it as much as possible. And as cellular communications and credit card security in particular evolve, make sure that we have an affordable, efficient solution to keep your pay station modern and compliant. You see the touchscreen there, and it's flipped over to the portrait model there. And the reason that we did that was to be in compliance with ADA standards. The beautiful thing about the touchscreen is the user experience. So many of us use our iPhones and tablets on a day-to-day basis. And so the ease of use with this really just transforms to what we do on our day-to-day. We can customize and storyboard that experience so the screens read exactly how the customer wants it. So you can brand it to the city of Las Vegas or brand it to UNLV, use the colors, have the right verbiage, the right information, the right help screen. really creating the best possible user experience. I mentioned the credit card readers before. We are PCI compliant. We are EMV compliant as well, so we can offer EMV level 1 and 2. You have to have both certifications to be EMV compliant. We are PADSS and we are P2PE compliant on this reader as well. So oftentimes credit card security is a moving target, and we want to make sure that we provide you with as much protection as we possibly can. The outside of the units here with the CWT are stainless steel. The Strata is 12 gauge steel and chemically treated, and that provides our customers with tremendous peace of mind as far as the physical security is concerned. I will tell you that we have never had a collection vault compromised in North America. So we do offer, but not just the credit card security, but the physical security on the hardware as well. A few extra notes, and I know I'm beating the hardware to death. The next generation of this is going to have an Android-based operating system, which will allow customers to download their own content onto there. So if you're transforming this from not just a parking kiosk, but really into a multi-purpose, and that is what we're looking at from a generational perspective. In Chicago, we recently introduced text message receipts, which saves the municipality, saves the city so much money as far as its operating costs are concerned, you know, and makes for a much more environmentally strong product. And then our philosophy around the hardware is to be an open partner with tremendous flexibility. We have open APIs so that we can connect and work with willingly all the various partners that you can bring in to help work your parking ecosystem, whether that be a different mobile phone company. And I do want your mobile phone business, but I understand, you know, you have choices out there. Your single space meter company, if it's not us as well, whether that be your space counting, your big data analytics, which we offer, as well as some of your HR and accounting function. We have the ability to be one brick in your parking ecosystem wall or provide multiple components and be that entire wall. This is the Strata S5. This is what's in downtown Las Vegas today. So for those of you who are local, take a look at that touchscreen meter that I mentioned as well. And you'll notice the difference in the solar hats there. We have multiple solar hats depending on the operation. The one that you see there is a 16 volt, which provides more than enough energy for the unit, but we also offer a 30 watt as well, which you will see sometimes in Philadelphia and as well as other locations around the country. This is our TVM machine that's right here. The machine that's pictured there, I believe, is the Indigo machine for the city of Indianapolis. And you can see that's basically a Strata with the touchscreen technology that's there. We meet all the Buy America requirements that oftentimes come with transit projects. And then we also meet all the ADA compliance that's required there as well. So the ability to do audio or braille. Now, hopefully you don't need that on parking because there's not too many blind drivers out there, but you never know. We also have the mechanical buttons there that will help along with the touch screen. And this has the ability, we always have the ability to take both, coins, banknotes, tokens, any type of credit card, contactless credit cards as well. Apple Pay and Google Pay are an option both on the transit side and on the parking side. What's really neat is the tickets here. We have account-based tickets, which allows someone to have a virtual wallet, and they can download that either to their phone if they're using our transit applications or onto a card, and that card can be reloaded directly at the TVM on the same exact technology that I just showed you on the parking side. And you do have the ability to do both parking and transit on the same machines. One of the questions I'm asked most often in the Northeast is, how does your technology stand up to cold weather? And when we were deploying the 4700 Chicago machines, that's right when the polar vortex hit. And so we recorded some of the wind chill temperatures here and some of the low temperatures around the Chicago area as that was taking place. The polar vortex exceeded all of our testing as far as the tenaciousness of it, and we passed with flying colors. Now, you guys, most of you are in the Southwest. You don't get all that much cold weather, though I have seen snow in Las Vegas. On the flip side, I've got 4 meters with the National Park System in Death Valley. And I know you're still experiencing some hot weather out there in the Southwest, but back in August, Death Valley experienced the hottest day in the history of the Earth. And I'm going to tell you, the same machines that we just talked about, the same one that's here in Chicago, passed with flying colors with no alarms over that time period. So the scale of temperatures that the technology can endure is second to none. We do have the ability to change rates remotely across our entire platform. This is an example here of the Calais rate module through the Flowbird web office. And what's really neat about this, as events happen in town, to follow up on the last presentation, you have the ability to move rates or pre-program rates in real time. So in Washington, D.C., for example, they charge event parking on street during all the Nationals games. They're still doing it this year, even though nobody's at the National games, they still have the event parking rates in place. So if you're in downtown Washington, D.C., chances are you're going to pay $20, $30 to park next to the stadium, even though you're not allowed inside the stadium. We do the same thing in Newark, New Jersey as well, with all of the New Jersey Devils games and events that happen there. And then you have the ability to do free parking for First Fridays or farmers markets or whatever the case may be. But having that flexibility to change rates from your laptop or your home computer or even your cell phone, it's a nice feature, convenient feature to have. This is part of our big data suite here. This is the Flowbird web office. There's a video here. I'm not going to show it to you. This is downtown Pittsburgh, and we have the ability to show you, real time what's happening in your park, to drill down, get real-time data, and provide occupancy information. And we can communicate this out to the user through the Flowbird app as well in real time. So this is our Flowbird app here. And what we're trying to do with the Flowbird app, again, is to blur those lines between on-street and off-street and eventually transit. So it's more than just a parking application. What makes our app unique is we use GPS as opposed to using zones. We can use zones as well, but by enabling the GPS feature on your phone, it can actually draw in where you are parked. That provides the municipality with additional data as far as their occupancy trends are concerned and where the revenue is coming from. But it also allows the user, to use features like Find My Car. If you're like me and in a rental car every week, sometimes you don't remember what you were driving that you picked up at the airport that day. And yes, I'm kind of ashamed to admit it. But it will pull in your real-time rate information and the rules surrounding that particular area and transfer that directly to your phone. We also have partnered up with Arrive. We are doing this in Las Vegas, and we're in the process of rolling this out in Detroit as we speak to provide off-street capabilities on the same app that provides the on-street. And as you can see here, all the off-street facilities are mapped out with real-time rate information and occupancy information. You also have the ability to do event-based, which is huge in a lot of major cities. So if you're going to the casino or going somewhere for a concert, a sporting event, or simply to go out to dinner, you have the ability to reserve your parking spot in advance, really solving what we call that last mile experience. So again, blurring those lines between on-street and off-street and providing real-time availability. And all of this is scalable on the app. Both the city can enable what the user sees, and the user can opt into what they want to see as well. So you see the option there to look at the on-street options as well, to provide the type of facility that you would prefer to park in, as well as once you do it, they're going to provide you with a picture and description of that facility as well. You get a QR code, you can add it to your Apple Wallet or your Google Wallet, you get a transaction confirmation. All of that is detailed for you in detail. I don't know if you have experience in using this type of technology, but it's absolutely fantastic for when you're heading downtown. Few success stories recently. I mentioned the Chicago project. Chicago really took a unique view in parking that we don't hear too much these days. Whereas most cities are looking to reduce their hardware inventory and place additional emphasis on mobile apps. Chicago actually increased their inventory, and the reason for it was that they calculated that if they spread the meters too far out, they're going to lose the microtransactions of the folks who are running into Starbucks, that are running into the dry cleaner, that those folks, if it's too far from the kiosk or the meter, are much more likely to take that risk of getting the ticket. And to Chicago, I forget how many millions of dollars it was worth, but they actually expanded their hardware footprint to capture that additional revenue. So it's just a different school of thought. Most cities are spreading them out even more. So at this point, we've deployed over 4,700 of the touchscreen kiosks that are there. The beauty of this project is the timeline that you can see there. The contract was signed August 30th. The first meters went in October 1st. It was completed February 11th. That's 4,700 touchscreens. I don't know of any other companies out there that have that type, have that ability to attack a project like that, install, be successful, and then on top of it, deal with the complication of the polar vortex. It's really a tremendous success story. And you can see some pictures there, the warehouse in Chicago where we staged everything and tested the technology before it went out to the street. Portland, Oregon, it's a longtime customer of ours. They have 2,000 kiosks. They've been a customer of ours since 2004. And they just recently reselected us to do the meters downtown as well. Atlanta, Georgia is another huge project. We just introduced our Flowbird app there last year, along with other companies as well. Over 300 meters, and they've been a customer of ours now for over 10 years. Tremendous partner. Last but not least, here is that Las Vegas meter that I had mentioned at the beginning. So if you remember the screen with the different types of stratas on there, well, here is a retrofit that we put on the existing Las Vegas meter that allows them to have that touchscreen capability. Okay, so what we did is replace the main board to give it the same operating system. We changed the credit card reader to the more intensive reader that provides all the different bells and whistles that we have there. And yet we used the existing coin system, kept the printer. It's just a simple retrofit. And I don't know of any other companies that are out there that can take older meters and make them look brand new. And you'll notice there's some interesting art on that one as well. So, and I've seen some good wraps in my visits to Las Vegas and some good art on some of our meters. And I think that adds a little bit of personality. So that is Flowbird in a nutshell. Any questions, comments, concerns? Do I get invited back next year?
You can definitely come to Vegas.
We'll start working on getting you there.
I appreciate
Definitely.
it.
Definitely.
Where did you
Vegas.
say you were? Northwest?
I'm Northeast.
Oh, our motto is there's a Southwest in every state.
It's funny. I told Benoit Veliquette, some of you know him, that I was doing this presentation today, and I told him I was taking over the sales for the Southwest. And he said, you can have the Southwest quadrant of the Northeast.
There you go. There you go. There's your pitch. Thanks, Ed. We are about out of time for today. So I would like to thank everyone for attending. And it's been a great first conference webinar session. Coming up October 21st, obviously more boxes and more fun and more things to do. The October 21st, the webinar title is the Customer Experience Transformation from Zero to Paid Parking in Paso Robles. Presenters are Commander Caleb Davis, Parking Ambassador Donna King, Assistant City Manager Sarah Johnson. So make sure you're on the lookout for that and register, and we hope to see you soon. Everyone have a great day.